Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Lancescurv. I want to welcome everyone on in. I see Giant Gain. I see Sister Diane. Thank you for being here. And this is not going to be for long, but I wanted to bring this topic up in a different way because I saw this on the news app that I'm subscribed to that can get pretty annoying because every time there's a story, it's breaking news. Breaking, breaking. It's like crying wolf. But I go into other sections, and again, I don't really surf the internet aimlessly, but I keep an open eye for a little while and see if there's anything interesting that can pertain to all of us who are here who follow the platform. So I had a good breakfast. Right now it's 2:31 p.m. and I did wake up reasonably late, but I'm well rested and as opposed to yesterday. And I said, well, I'm going to go and put in some time here. Welcome, Sister Beverly Scott. We are here. Yes, indeed, with all the fire. And when I saw this story, it hurt me how cruel people can be, especially when one doesn't fall into the category of the so-called European beauty standard. And how twisted we are, where we can initially feel bad about ourselves if we don't measure down to that. I said measure down. Because the full human vibration doesn't embrace that which is on the verge of death. It never seems to shock me any less. But what hurts me is when we have those of us who internalize this. And the bottom line is that, we live in a world where the image on the screen often carries more weight than the truth within our souls. Too many of us measure ourselves against standards that were never meant for us. The Black community has carried centuries of ridicule for our natural features. And the same battles continue in this digital age. Here's the story I want to speak about. Our Zambian sister, the brilliant lawyer named Naomie Pilula, who stood tall against public negativity, reflects the greatest struggle of our people. When she was attacked online for the way she looked, instead of breaking down, she chose to embrace her God-given features. That act of courage speaks louder than any insult ever could. This is not just about one individual being mocked on social media. This is about a people who have been conditioned to reject their natural beauty. It's about reclaiming the strength that comes from embracing our noses, our lips, our skin tones, and hair textures without apology. What we see in her story is the power to transform pain into something greater. The same fire that was meant to consume her only strengthened her confidence. That should be a lesson to us all. I share this because it is not just her battle, it's ours. Every time one of us stands firm in our identity, it chips away at the chains of insecurity that have been forced on our community. See, when she posted her photo, she was simply sharing herself with the world. What came back was cruel ridicule targeting her nose and facial features. Many of us know that pain because society has long made fun of the very traits that connect us to our lineage. Instead of collapsing under that weight, she chose to hold head high. She saw her father's features in her own face and declared that no insult could erase that bond. This is an act of defiance against a culture that tells us we should carve away what makes us who we are. The insults that she faced are not isolated. They reflect the larger hatred directed at our people. Social media has become a stage where the worst of humanity plays out. Yet, her response shows that the power to define your own worth lies in us, not in those who mock us. She admitted that self-love did not come overnight. There wasn't one magical morning where she suddenly saw herself differently. Instead, it was a process. Day by day, choosing to look at her reflection and claim beauty in what she saw. This is where the strength of the Black community must rise. We must teach each other to reject the lie that our features are flaws. It is a daily battle to unlearn what has been drilled into us. And like her, we can arrive at that point where no one can take away what they gave us. Her sister's encouragement and her connection to Scripture helped her through those hard days. This reveals another truth. We cannot do it alone. Community, family, and faith remain pillars that hold us steady when outside voices try to break us down. Her testimony goes beyond beauty. It speaks to identity. She said she does not try to be perfect for the internet. Instead, she chooses to shine with authenticity. That is a lesson our people must take seriously. For too long, we've been told to fit into a mold that erases our culture and features. But real beauty is not about chasing approval. Real beauty is standing in your truth and allowing the light within to shine outward. Every young Black child who hears her words should know you do not need to reshape yourself to be valuable. Your value exists before the world even lays eyes on you. The insults that were meant to weaken her actually revealed her strength. Instead of letting cruel words bury her, she rose above them and claimed ownership of her identity. That is the same spirit our ancestors carried when they faced ridicule, oppression, and chains. When we, as a community, turn the pain aimed at us into fuel, we take control. Transform curses into blessings, rejection into pride, and shame into glory. This is what turning pain into power truly looks like. Her story is more than just an isolated moment of online bullying. It is a reflection of what many of us endure every single day. When we choose to embrace our natural selves, we are taking back what the world has tried to strip away. I stand firm in declaring that the Black community must see itself through eyes of love, not criticism. We must break the cycle of tearing each other down and instead lift one another with encouragement and truth. Confidence is not something granted by strangers. Remember that. It is something claimed from within. Once we find it, no one, absolutely no one, can take it away. Her courage shines as a reminder that beauty does not come from the approval of the crowd. Beauty comes from being unapologetically who we are. Let's take her example and make it our own. Let's build a future where every Black child looks into the mirror and says with pride, I love what I see. And that's where our real power lies. Libby Lou, welcome on in. Khadijah, Sweet D, Diane, of course, and Giant Gain up top. Let me see if there's anybody. Beverly Scott, of course. Yes. I'm going to, for anybody who might want to come on in, I just woke up with that. And I said, let me jot a few notes down and read them off. But I also want to say that just as much as we can take pride in who and what we are and what our features convey, which is a strong and powerful history. Sweetberry, welcome on in. Sweetberry, you're beautiful. All of you are beautiful. And I'm not just saying this as words. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you part of my journey. See, when I was growing up, many people, and this is the other side of the same thing, and I want to share this. Yes, Sweetberry, I want to dig deep in these topics that really hit home. It's not just about, some people are not going to look at this. They're going to go past it. It's okay. I'm coming from the heart with this. This is not just about hits and trying to build some persona of some demigod, some prophet, which most of them are like cardboard cutouts. I want to sit on the bus stop with you. I want to sit in the garbage can. I want to sit on the curb. I want to be invited to the picnic, and let's sit around and talk some real stuff. Those conversations that we just hate to let go. Those are the kind of conversations that I grew up with. Let me tell you something. See, I was taught pride in who I am as a young Black child. My parents, they gave me more than any public school can give. Of course, I learned the basics at public school, but they didn't just give me facts. They showed me community. They told me who I was. They gave me a lot of lessons that I didn't retain exactly to know who was born, what year, and when they died, but it impressed upon me in my soul that we are no less. We're super beings, basically. And growing up, the faces that I saw of people who loved me because of who I am and the position I had, that had features that reflected who we are. Just like this beautiful young lady right here. Look at the wholesome smile she has. Look in her eye. You know you can trust this woman. You know that she has love in her heart. Why would somebody want to come after her? As I got older, I began to experience those bouts of people who felt we should not look at ourselves as beautiful. And those of us who would tell little girls and little boys, but especially the little girls, oh, I wish you could have had hair like your cousin, that good hair. Oh, look how beautiful she is. Look at her complexion, like a little baby doll, because she was lighter. Because of what I knew from such a young age, I would hear these things and look at these grown people as though like, you're ignorant. What is wrong with you? Seriously, I was always like this, and it hurt me. It bothered me. And I always wanted to comfort those who were at the end of the attacks because I saw their beauty. I saw them as they are. I wasn't trying to just make them feel good. I'm like, how could you say this to this beautiful young lady or this beautiful child or whatever? And see, here's the part. Many people, usually who are older or in positions of power, teachers, pastors, different people who were older than you, expected me to soak in what others didn't have to deal with. Meaning that, oh, you're such a handsome young man. You have such a nice complexion. Don't tell me that shit. Because if I accept that, that means I'm just as bad as you are. That means I'm accepting that compliment based on that. And I'm going against all my brothers and sisters. All through my years. I've dated different shades of black women just because of who they are as a person. But look at those who I was involved with, if you know me, in my long-term relationships, in a majority of. And I had many men say, you could have went for somebody better than that. I said, listen, I can't find nobody better than what I have now. Now, personality clashes or differences in how you grow, you may part, but it wasn't because they were darker skinned, to say it bluntly. I was so mad. I was in a gym called Madison Avenue Muscle. And I believe this was 1983 into 1984. That was the creme de la creme of gyms in Manhattan. I didn't have a free membership there, but I paid for a membership there. I had free memberships in different gyms in the city, but they were very exclusive. And I went there. And so I ran into a photographer who had connections with magazines. And he was saying, and asking me, well, what competition are you training for now? I said, I'm not training for anything. I turned 20 and I'm not going up against these big guys. And they said, well, still, since you won that competition last year, maybe I can get you on the back cover of the magazine. Now, what they meant by back cover is not like, oh, you're going through the back door. It was those guys who were teenagers, who were younger, but the big guys, the old guys, they always got the front cover. That was protocol. I didn't feel any funny way about that. I said, really? And then he whispered, he pulled me over, he said, well, listen, your friend over there who you're training with has a fabulous body, but they're not going to like it by the way he looks. I said, what do you mean? He's got a better body than me. What are you talking about? He says, well, he's not as marketable. I chewed that photographer out and lost out on my own opportunity. I chewed him out knowing that I was going to lose out on the opportunity, because if you're going to think that way, I don't want it. And this is how many people didn't like me coming up, because they thought that I was going to take or accept the light-skinned favor that they were granting me in different areas that I was in. So that hit them harder when they found out what I was all about. Long before the internet came, long before the year 2000 came, long before 1990s came. This is the way I was all the time. Ask anybody who knows me. You see? So I don't play that. And this woman here, the love in her eye, the love in her face, the joy. If I was a single man and I met her and she's as sweet as she appears to be, I'd deal with her. I would love her. I would be with her. I would walk down the street and hold her hand and kiss her so deep in front of everybody, because that's the way it would be. I wouldn't hold back and, well, let me walk a little bit ahead of you, or meet me in the car outside. We can't shop together, or we can't be seen. No. And it wouldn't be something just to use her for her body. If you give a black woman love, let it be because you love her for who she is. Not just anything superficial. Oh man, she got a... Yeah, we're men. We like things. But what I've learned in all my years of living is that certain things will fade. And what are you left with? What are you left with? We're all going to transition. I think of that more and more with each passing day, not out of fear, but in a manner to make sure that I can do all the things that I'm put here to do, and slow it down a bit and enjoy the life that my Creator gave me by doing the right thing and correcting situations that I see out here that are put forth because of this European system that many of us bow down to with our bleaching creams, with the hair relaxers, with trying to reduce the size of our lips, trying to reduce the size of our nose and have it to be some pointy thing that can't even inhale oxygen. We do all of these things and come up with different excuses. We do things to ourselves because we want to get hired in that corporate position. To hell with the corporate position. So that means you have to reduce yourself? No, be who you are. Many of the women here in Ghana, they suffer from the same thing. Their hair, they want to change it. A lot of them want to go with some lighter complexion. Bleaching cream sales out here are at an all-time high. Just because I'm here doesn't mean that I see everybody who is pro-Black, pro-African, and pro-themselves the way they were made to be. So it comes from a different angle, but it's still the European standard of what they call beauty. I reject it, and I always rejected it. My mother's aunt, who raised her, my mother was born in Bluefield, Virginia, and her parents both died when she was 2 years old in separate incidents. So my mother's aunt, Kathleen Evelyn DeLoach, took her in. There were other family members who lived in Virginia who were willing to take on that responsibility. But my aunt and uncle were people of means. They were secret millionaires way back then. Way back then. Now, if you saw my mother's aunt, which I say, what would you call it? It's still my aunt because it's under, I'll say my aunt. But if you see her, you'd swear up and down that that was a white woman. I never saw all of that because I was so young, because that's who she was in the family. And Uncle Charles, her husband, was an engineer, but he couldn't pass as white. Not that my aunt was trying to pass as white, but people would see her, especially when she came to Queens, New York and visit with us. The kids like, who's that white lady going up inside your house? That's my aunt. Your aunt is white? I said, no, she's heavily mixed. I always embraced her. Brilliant lady. A professor, a principal of a school teacher. She composed music. She played several instruments, wrote several books, many books. And I had no reason to feel funny about her until when she came to New York, her and my Uncle Charles, they had a huge RV. And when they parked it, it took up like 3 or 4 parking spaces. People were like, who is that? They had money, but they were very conservative. And they were there that summer of July, 77, when the blackout happened. And it happened when they were there. My mother was in Sloan Kettering Hospital because she had breast cancer and eventually got her breast removed because a malignant tumor was about to spread, and they caught it just in time. We didn't have the money to pay for something like that. My father didn't have that kind of money. They came, they paid for everything, paid up several months of bills for us. We weren't destitute, but we didn't have that kind of money. I mean, I say we, I was a child then. Well, I was younger then. I was, 14 years old. So while my mother was in the hospital, my father said, okay, let me drive you all around. You know, ain't no need in just sitting here feeling depressed. These are one of the best cancer hospitals on the planet. So we're driving around, and she said she wanted some soul food from up in Harlem. Washington Heights, where I was born, was the section right above Harlem. It's all the same. So we pulled over, and my father was going to bring all of us into this particular restaurant. The name slips my head. It was a very famous restaurant back in those days that you'll see mentioned in a lot of movies. It was still around at that time, and it closed shortly after in the 70s, late 70s. So she says, Lance, to my father, and I'm sitting in the back seat. She was sitting in the front. My uncle was sitting next to me. She says, are we going in there? And he said, yeah. Now, you know, my father's darkly complected, which it doesn't matter. That's my father. My mother was the one that had a lot of complexion. I'll pull up some photos and I'll show you. I think I have on Instagram deep down. And so he was kind of shocked that she was startled in how she spoke. And so I kind of perked up and he looked inside the car. He said, yeah, we're going to go in there and eat. And then she turned around to him and said, no, I'm not going around these people. I'm not feeling comfortable. I got so angry. I'm 14 years old now. So I said to her, and I was always respectful. I said, what do you mean you don't want to go around those people? What do you mean those people? What's wrong with them? Why would you say that? I said, those are my people. I was born in this neighborhood. What do you mean those people? Then if you can't be around those people, then I guess you can't be around me. And I was starting to cry. I was hurt. I was hurt because that shit permeated her. So now I had to go through all of my memory of her and scan it, which I wouldn't say that term then. I'm saying it now to make you understand it better. It was like she was always kind of bleached of any word on the Black community or anything going on. She was nice unto herself, but when she said that, that told me that she was enjoying passing for white. You see what I mean? So I knew the city well. I've been sneaking and riding on trains from 12 years old. So I opened up the door and I said to my father, I said, Daddy, I'm going home. If she can't be up here and she's going to have that kind of attitude, I'm going home. They say, well, how are you going to get home? I said, I'm taking the train. I left. I excused myself. And I didn't want nothing to do with her, but I did feel respectful in a sense that she did come and pay for all of that my mother had to deal with in the cancer hospital, Sloan Kettering. But I stayed away from her. That hurt me that a member of my own family, no matter what they look like, had that sickness and disease. As much as I was proud of her prior for all that she had accomplished and all that she had given to my mother, raising her up as a surrogate mother. But see, my mother didn't have that in her. My mother was pro-Black as they come and dignified with it. So it made me wonder. And I would sit with my mother and speak with her and ask her questions, and I understood how that was. The way she had to go through things, how they would give her more favor because she was lighter skinned. And I understood this whole thing even more. And look at that. She married a darker complected man from Jamaica, hardworking. You see what I mean? So I know both sides of all of it. And my father didn't go for any of that stuff. He didn't want to attack her. I did. See? But he was on point and on code with me. But being more mature, he tolerated and, didn't turn another cheek or whatever. If she came at him a certain way, it would have been on and popping. But this is who she is. Just like that grandmother that you might love, who still says good hair and bad hair, or doesn't like you dating somebody who may have a darker complexion than you. That's in them so much. They grew up in that. I don't condone it, but it's going to be hard for them to change. You look past that. But what hurts me is that when people put these things on youngsters and they internalize it, That's something that I do not like. No matter what, I'm here. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to make you feel stupid when you come that way. You see? So it's something that, I don't know, we as a people, some people hide it now because they don't want to get called out. You know, they know people are aware, but they still have ways of throwing off. Just like some of the sisters that I know that feel like they're so beautiful according to European standards of beauty. And there are some who would fit under the umbrella of the European standards of beauty, but they're beautiful, but they're not arrogant because of that, because they're not acknowledging that. You see what I mean? So if there's a lighter skinned sister that comes on the show and I say, wow, you're really beautiful, I'm not cooning or tomming. I'm not acknowledging that European standard of so-called beauty, because we do come in all shades. So I'm not going to be nice somebody because they were born lighter. But if you're born lighter and you got that arrogance, you got that stuff in you, like I'm better than you because I'm lighter. Do you know how many women I've known that other guys were saying, man, you need to date her, man. She got the hots for you. Oh, man, she likes you. But she had that thing that she felt superior because of her lighter skin tone. And in actuality, let's just be real. I'm not attacking the lighter skinned sisters, but there's so many lighter skinned sisters out here that are butt ugly, but they feel they're fine because they're light skinned, right? And look, we can't find a better example. A lighter complected sister like Sister Diane here, who's black to the core. They would never take props because of her skin tone. And all of our other sisters who are darker complected, who are beautiful, who had to go through these struggles. These are the conversations that I heard growing up, so that's why I'm not afraid to talk about it. But we hurt our children in our own households when they have to hear how we favor somebody else and in actuality make them feel ugly about themselves. Let me get street for a second. Let me get totally testosteronized and alpha and sigma at the same time. If this woman here was my woman, I would be tonguing her down every chance I get. And I want people to see it. Let's just be real. I'd make sure she got the best loving when the lights went out every single night and have babies with her. I'm speaking if I was single. You see what I mean? And this is what we have to see. This is what we have to see. And this is what we have to make people see. If I go out on a date growing up, I'm treating that woman like she's the only woman in the world. Sitting down in a restaurant, my eyes are where they should be, on her. Even back in the days when I had more options and did some hedonistically crazy things, I would tell everybody I dated, whether it was one date or we dated for a week or saw each other or it was just one of them things that we just, when I'm with you, my eyes are on you and you're getting my total attention. And other people can see that. Because people are always watching to see what kind of person you are, just for those little moments that you reveal your character that you think people don't see. I was in a restaurant with a young lady one time. I think I told this story before. It's just real quick. And this woman got up from where she was sitting, and I saw her, but I wasn't looking at her. She had the tightest jeans on, walked past me. All of a sudden, the dudes in the other tables, they're looking at me. See, they were with their woman, so they're looking at me to see if I'm looking at that girl. I kept my eyes on the person I was with. And I heard two guys at the table, hey, man, he didn't even look at her. You give your attention to the person you're with, even if you're not going to be in a long-term relationship with them. No matter who they are or what they look like as far as the outside world. I see a pleasant face here. I see a beautiful spirit and a person who's overcome. what the world tried to put on her. You see what I mean? Anything else doesn't fly. Anyway, I got more stuff I'm coming with later on today. If anybody wants to come in and say a word, the link is right there in the chat room. And I'm preparing something else. I'll try to get some numbers in today. But that's what I woke up with. And I just want to say, and this goes for the brothers too. I kept saying about the sisters because I'm thinking as a man, but many of the brothers too who are shut down because they don't fit a certain mold. But my heart goes out to little girls who have to hear this stuff and have that foundation of inferiority put on them from a young age. And it's something they have to fight for the rest of their life, even into where they're grown. I've talked to many women in my life, and that has always been something that they had to deal with, especially when they had features that didn't look like a white lady. Who would want that anyway? And even those who try to have the plastic surgery and change how they look, they don't change. It doesn't change how they feel about themselves when they have that engineered low self-esteem put into them from young, because they know they had to do that in their mind. They still feel that they're less. And even though they can shape the nose and make it pointy, reduce the lips, doing the whole Serena thing right now, they know that if the world says they're beautiful at this point, that they're only worshiping a mask, the alterations that they've done to look the way they do. They still don't receive the full brunt of it because deep down they know they did that and they're not getting, it's like if I was to take steroids and train and all these steroids and I blow my body up and look so super muscular and everything. And people, oh man, you really, I can't really feel good about that because that's not me. I did something external, artificial to alter my appearance. Even if I did work hard, that's still not me. So I never did those things. And I accept myself as I am. But I know how I fit in. I remember, and this is it was back in the was it the middle 80s? It was like 87, 88, 80, 87, 86, right around in there. And this guy wasn't a guy I really hung out with, but I knew him from school. We were in some of the same classes and we'd see each other and talk, but we weren't like, oh, let's hang out tonight. But I saw him coming down the street and he had a really beautiful young lady with him. And she was a brown complexion, but she was really stunning. And as I walked toward him, I was walking up the street, he started smiling. And he said, hey, Lance, because she went into the store. He said, hey, Lance, I want to say something, man. The Chocolate Brothers are in. He said, I used to hate it. Back about 10 years ago when we were in school, all the girls are looking at you. It's over now. It's all over for the light-skinned brothers. And I'm laughing just as hard because I appreciated that. I said, that's good. And I never saw it that way anyway. But there were a lot of women who wouldn't go for a darker chocolate brother. So I'm happy for them. I don't feel as though, oh, they take it over some category I had. No. But people had to know after a while how I was, that I wasn't insulted by that. Right? I think it's a good thing. So I let him see that. And he was joking anyway, but he felt it from young. And I say, I understand. I understand how a lot of women back in the day, back in the 70s, they wanted to go with the lighter skinned guy. I never exploited that. So we have a lot of things that we have to untangle in our experiences, the things that made us who we are today as far as how we think about ourselves. And you as you are, male or female, you're perfect as you are. Our Creator made you the way He made you, and it's an insult to Him and her because the Creator has both male and female energies in them. So I'm not going to be sexist, right? But you're made perfect as you are. And for those who are Bible thumpers, in his image. So if he made you, and the world wants to control you with a thick, twisted, toxic mindset that wants you to think bad about yourself, made as you are, then that's on you if you hold on to that, but you don't have to think that way. You don't. But anyway, I still have a few hours left in the afternoon. I want to prepare something else. I have an article I'm going to throw up soon. I'm definitely going to come back with a live later on. But it was something that I'm passionate about, something we have to think about. And to Naomie Pilula, my hat's off to you. You're a beautiful woman. And I'm glad that you taught the world a lesson, as many others have. But we need to keep on doing this because there's a lot of us out here that need to hear this particular story. Much love to you all. Take care. I'm going to see you in a little while. Lancescurv out. Peace.
matter. Actually, today I got to meet my friend Lance. Yes, I got to meet my friend Lance. This is my first time meeting him in person, and he's a very kind man, seriously. I do talk with him on phone, on WhatsApp, but I've never got to meet him. But today, he's just extraordinary. He's very, anything you want to know about life, anything you want to know about just human, anything you want to know about life, please. YouTube, Telegram, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media channels, you got to find him there. He's very inspiring. He's very positive. If you want anything positive about life, please subscribe to Lancescurv. And then every day you got to see different videos, different talks, different topics about life. See you.